everyone, welcome back to my channel, and we have a guest today. This is my dad, Sean, and we are going to be doing a reaction video to Black Panther. We're starting like a new series kind of thing where we're going to be doing video reactions for some movies and maybe some character analysis and other things like that. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get started.
And hi to my Sister Speak family, Sister K and Sister J, and all the family on Sister Speak, which is a fantastic podcast. So hi to all you guys. But
alrighty, so Black Panther came out on the 16th of February, and we already saw it. I saw it twice, and my dad saw it 3 times already, so we have knowledge about Black Panther. So first, I'm going to have my dad explain who Black Panther is and things like that, because he grew up on Black Panther.
So, yeah, as Jade explained, my name is Sean, and I've been collecting comics for over 40 years. So, I started in the early 70s, and, big fan of, all things Marvel, a little bit of DC, but definitely all things Marvel. So, I got exposed to the Black Panther, when I was a little kid growing up in the 70s. And when you think of the Black Panther, he really is different than most heroes, because the Black Panther, as the king of Wakanda, really is a combination of the Pope, because he is the leader of the Panther religion of Wakanda. Also, he's the general of the Wakanda army, so he's also the equivalent of the commander of the Pentagon forces, and also equivalent to the president as the king. So all in one person, you have the Pope, the president, and the commander of the army. So just a unique individual. And what's unique about Wakanda is they're the most technologically advanced civilization on the planet. Even though when the comics first started, most of the world didn't know what Wakanda was. So and someone like me growing up in the early 70s, when back then, I tell my daughter this all the time, they're so lucky now, because your younger generation was, social media, with hundreds of channels. You guys have so many opportunities to see different images. But growing up in the 70s, we had like 3 or 4 movie channels, or TV channels, period. We did not have the internet at all. And so the opportunity to see positive images of people who look like us did not exist at all. And so when I saw Black Panther, when I saw Luke Cage, it really was, just something that I gravitated to.
Why do you think the film was needed, in your opinion?
The film was needed, and once again, just think what this country has been going through, and in particular the last 2 years. We've been, and even beyond 2 years, but in particular with the last 2 years, we've had all of the police involved killing of black men. We've had all of the, since election last year, you had all of that stuff going on. And there is limited opportunity for young people of color to see positive reflections of themselves in media. Now, if you're, my daughter is half white, and so if you're the other culture, you see yourself reflected in all walks of life, from a janitor to a president to an Air Force pilot to a school teacher, everywhere, to a superhero, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. You see yourself everywhere. The same isn't true for us. And even if you see the Falcon or someone like that on the stage, it's always as a compliment to the main protagonist. Captain America, Falcon is his sidekick. Iron Man and War Machine. So it's always the sidekick. So to see this movie where the director is African American, all of the it takes place in an African American, or in an African, I won't even say African American, but an African country who's technologically. And most of the time, once again, most of the time we see ourselves in Hollywood, it's always in the ghetto, there's drugs involved. It's always that same scenario. But to see this positive image reflected, and just the different shades of that was on the screen, and the different hair.
Yeah.
I was watching this one YouTube reaction video where this woman was crying because she heard names that sounded like hers, and she was talking about how she grew up in a white community, and just felt when her parents would come to parent-teacher night, and they were from Africa, how she just felt, how all the kids were laughing, and now the whole world is in just loving the Black Panther movie, and now these names are up on the screen, and so stuff like that, you can't put a value on what that does for a young psyche.
Especially like our cousins came, and they were like 9 or 10.
Right.
And like they got to see like the superheroes on the screen, and like I feel like that was the first superhero that they saw that was completely black.
Right.
Because I mean they're used to seeing like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man, but this is like the first time they've seen black men and black women in power too.
Right. And not only black women, bald-headed black women.
Yeah, bald-headed black women.
Which was so cool.
Yeah.
I saw this another reaction from someone who said all during her life she was made fun of because she had short hair. And now you had these strong black women, who were bald, and they were kicking bald. Butt on, and it just gave her this pride that she couldn't, and strong. Every woman in that movie were strong women. And with all the stuff that's been going on in the last year with the Me Too movement, and how women are now empowered, and I've raised Jade to be a strong, independent woman, and to see that reflected on the movies, and to see all of these women kicking behind. And,
because you don't really see that. Like, I don't think I've seen like a movie where like besides like
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman. Yeah, Wonder Woman was like the first like main person, but like Scarlett Johansson when she was playing Black Widow, like she was more spy, but not like warrior. But you
usually don't see it from women of color.
Yeah, that's true.
By themselves. You see Storm and X-Men, but you really don't see it from women of color. And if you see it, you don't see, even Storm of the X-Men, the white hair and the blue eye, but you don't see bald-headed African women like that, like we saw in the Black Panthers. So that's why that's important.
Yep, very important. So when I first saw it, I was blown away. Like, honestly blown away. The visuals were beautiful. All the colors in the background was, oh my gosh, beautiful. Just like the scene aspects and how it relates to like today's problems. There was like people in the movie calling the black people savages, and a couple one-liners. Well, I'll say my favorite line. So my favorite line in the movie, by the way, it's a spoiler episode here because we're talking about the movie, but in the movie when Killmonger, the villain in the movie, he was about to die, and T'Challa was like saying like, we can heal you and like save you so you don't have to die, and he's like, no, like bury me in the ocean because they knew that death was better than bondage. I was like, that killed me, because just thinking about that and how it relates to like seeing slaves, like in the intro, like it was showing how like everything in Africa was like great, and then you start seeing everything starting to change. You start seeing black Africans in line in chains going on the ships that was representing slavery, and then the wars and stuff coming over. So it was just really cool to see like the timeline and how it still is connected to today.
And I love that line that Killmonger said at the end, but it was just had so many great parts in that movie. But for me, what stuck with me was when T'Challa saw his father in the afterlife, because I lost my dad about 8 years ago, and when his father told him that just it was time for him to step up, basically, and surround yourself with good people, and just that interaction between father and son. He saw his father again in the afterlife. That was meaningful for me, because not a day goes by that I don't think of my dad, even though he passed a while ago.
And I cried like 5 times seeing all those little interactions with the father and son, because I mean, like, my dad and I are super close, so just like me thinking ahead and like, when that kind of time comes and everything, like, and the line also that he said, if a father hasn't prepared their kids for when they're gone and they're not doing their job as a father. And my dad has definitely like done that for me. Like he's been there for me for everything and showed me like, I can do it in the future. I can be independent and know how to live my life the right way.
Yeah, so the stuff that that's in front of you now, and why is this movie important to me? And like I said, I'm a 50-year-old man, and I'm wearing my Panther medallion, and like I said, even though I'm 50 years old, it's 7-year-old Sean inside me who, I was called a nerd and all those names back in the day because I read comic books. And I grew up on the quote unquote bad side of town, and while my friends and other people are out there doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing because they didn't have those positive influences. It really was. My dad was fantastic. My whole family structure was great, but I still had the stories and stuff that I learned in the comic books that helped. And it may sound corny, but it really did help. Instill in me some values. And so now to see the whole world and all the stories, because comics in a way really are the myths of this modern generation. What Aesop's fables and all that stuff that they had hundreds of years ago. That's how I see comics today. And so for me to read that stuff 40 and 50 years ago and 40 years ago and be called a nerd and why are you reading that stuff? And now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and the rest
everywhere.
of it. To me, it's like, man, I was 40 years ahead of you guys because now you guys are seeing what I saw 40 years ago, and that these stories were relevant and that they helped me become the person that I am because I took those stories and it helped turn me into the person that I am. And I'm helping, it really helped turn me into the person that I am. And now to see the world, freaking out over the Black Panther is, to me, sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, sweet. And, Killmonger. We can't finish this without talking about Killmonger's motivations. And that's what was so great about this movie, because Marvel has been taking a lot of criticism about the lack of a positive, or the lack of a good villain in their movies. And Killmonger was excellent. And it really got to a point where, at one point I was like, man, even though I'm this huge Black Panther fan, Killmonger has some great points.
Yeah, he did. He
because
really did.
The way Wakanda was an isolationist community, our country, and when Killmonger said, you guys are living, big up in here and comfortable, but there's 2 billion people out there that look like you guys suffering the world over.
Yeah.
And Wakanda didn't do anything to help when you guys could have. And then when he started sending the troops around and saying, we're going to overthrow, and because now we have the tools to make this happen. That stuff makes you think.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, and not that it just makes you think because Black people have been taking a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And of course we want to work. We want to. We don't want war, but we want to be treated
with respect, and
we want respect,
equal.
and we want to be treated as equal. We love this country, and but we want to make sure that we're going to be treated. We cannot have the President of the United States calling Nazis good people when we're getting killed and all that stuff. And so, they're really, over, when they mentioned about the over-policing of the Black communities and all of that stuff, our leaders being, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and all of that stuff, they just made a great argument of what Killmonger was saying.
Yep.
So it really gave you something to really think about.
And like going of that, like his character, even like, like he was in the royal family, he didn't know that then, but, seeing his dad get killed and he was basically left behind by his family, like that really showed the effect of how that could, damage someone in the future. So that too was like really,
but then also how T'Challa realized how his father and Wakanda's history of being isolationist,
Mhm.
and how that was wrong,
Yeah.
and how they needed to go out into the world and use their power and influence to make the world a better place was also, and that's how the movie ended up. Is they and if you didn't stay for the end credits, make sure you do, because it takes place afterwards when they go in front of the United Nations and say, Wakanda now is going to reveal who we really are. And one person said, well, you guys are just a nation of farmers.
Yeah.
What does Wakanda have to offer?
And they just smirked.
Yeah, they all had
this
smirk because they had no idea what the true power of Wakanda was.
Yeah.
And so, that really set it up for what's going to happen. And we'll probably, we'll see some of that in 3 months when Avengers Infinity War comes out. Because, from the trailer, it looks like Wakanda, there's going to be a huge fight in Wakanda. So,
like, another thing that I really liked in the movie was at the end, in the building that his uncle was killed in, he brought back his sister, who's like very into technology. She like makes all the technology basically for Wakanda and was very good at technology, but like he brought the surrounding buildings and he was going to make a Wakanda outreach center. So like he was starting to bring Wakanda into the United States, but in the poor communities, to help them like build technology and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And then how the one kid, and when his ship was camouflaged, and then when they took it out of when he revealed the ship, the first thing the kids saw it, they mispronounced the word, but they thought it was one of the alien ships from the Avengers. And so when they saw the ship, they showed one kid coming up to T'Challa and asked, who are you? And that's how the film ended. And that really it wasn't just a question inside the movie, but it was a question for T'Challa to reveal himself to not only us as an audience, because there's a lot of, if you're not a comic fan, a lot of people really didn't know who T'Challa was, but also a chance for him to reveal himself to the African American community and to the world inside of Marvel Comics, inside the Marvel universe, because they didn't know who he was, who the Black Panther was, and so that was a key moment, and so I love that ending. I love how they ended at "Who are you?" and then it cut off. So that was great.
That was a great ending. So,
if I would have one criticism of the Black Panther movie, I didn't think they went in far enough on talking about T'Challa's intellect. And in Marvel Comics, there are several characters who are considered these super geniuses. You have Tony Stark, who of course is Iron Man. You have Reed Richards, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. You have Hank Pym, he's in Ant-Man, and then you have you have the Beast.
X-Men.
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank. Hank McCoy, and then T'Challa. Bruce. And I'm drawing a blank on his last. The Hulk.
Bruce.
I'm drawing a blank. I can't.
Oh my gosh, that's the W.
I'm drawing a blank, but anyway, the Hulk. But T'Challa.
Yeah.
And in the movie, they kind of Shuri took the place of that that intellect, but I thought it would have been very impactful for young people to know that not only is T'Challa this great warrior, but he's also this super genius. Because every time there's T'Challa designed the Quinjets that the Avengers fly around in the comic series. They gave a lot of stuff to Iron Man in the movies that Iron Man didn't do in the comics, like develop Ultron. He didn't do that. Hank Pym from the Ant-Man series, he's the one that developed Ultron. Well, in the movies they did it. It's Iron Man.
Because Iron Man was like
because he was a tech guy. Yeah. So everybody puts they equate if it's techie, Iron Man did. Yeah. It's not like that in the comics. So anytime there's a major,
you know, where they got to get all of Marvel's top brain power people together.
Mm-hmm.
T'Challa is right there along with, you know, Reed Richards and all these other super geniuses. I wish they would have included that in the Black Panther. Just showed some aspect, or even mentioned that, you know, maybe they could have had him and his sister when they were in the lab, have her say, you know, you don't get a chance to get down here like you used to.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Hey, you know, even
Giving a hint that he's
like
down there working.
Yeah, you know, a throwaway comment like that showed that before he became the Black Panther, that he was down there,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that he was, you know, he was this very smart, you know, that he was this super genius as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that also would have been very impactful. So that would be my one criticism, is not paying respect to T'Challa's genius.
I think one thing that I would like to see change is not the death of like Killmonger. Like I wish they, you know, he's got to save him. So I feel like, you know, they were cousins in the movie. I feel like he would have been able to rehabilitate to be like a part of, you know, the family after that. But he was like so set on his mission that, you know, he would rather die than to like.
Now one thing to remember with these being comic movies, is even though they're comic movies, villains have a tendency to come back.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And the thing with Thanos is, because of the ring, the gemstones that he's going to control, he's going to have the power over all of these gems, which control, you know, like I said, you know, basically gives them the power. So if there are going to be 4 or 5 heroes that die, you know, is Marvel and Disney really going to let these heroes stay dead forever?
That's true.
And so if they're brought back, everybody's raving about, so everybody always complained that Disney and Marvel didn't have strong villains. Now everybody's raving about how strong of a villain Killmonger was. So why not take advantage of that? That's all I'm saying. So just a fantastic movie.
It was fantastic. It was
You know,
really
as Jade mentioned, I've already gone 3 times in 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm taking my sister on Monday. You know, my older sister, who brought me a lot of comics when I was a kid, and so I'm taking her on Monday. So it's just something that needs to be supported, and you know, thank you, Jade, my beautiful daughter, for including me in this.
Of course.
You know, this is very important to me.
Yep. So we'll be doing more videos like this in the future. There's tons of Marvel movie coming out, so we'll be doing like things to trailers and like reactions. You hear the cat. Our cats are out there trying to get in.
Our cats, we actually have two
black cats.
Black cats.
And they all have their own little Panther
yeah.
thing. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and we will be back with more videos like this. Thank you. Bye. Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and today I'm actually going to be laying on my bed, and today I'm going to be going through BuzzFeed quiz